What is it that comment? What do you think? Sometimes the Niners have trouble closing the team out, even though they won last night. But the game, it became a game when it probably shouldn't.
Yeah, well, Chuck brought it up yesterday about how, like, in the red zone they haven't been great, and early on they really weren't like that. I think they got stalled twice on drives, ended up kicking field goals, and then Deebo had his 76-yard touchdown, which was unbelievable. But that was kind of the thoughts from me, at least, is that it doesn't even matter if they get stalled in the red zone. Like, they can beat you in so many different ways. And their defense, sure, you look at the stats, like, 24 points, Seahawks scored a lot. You take away that kick return, and their defense played unbelievable. Fred Warner, again, is just the best player on the field. I feel like every time we watch the Niners play in primetime, the takeaways are Fred Warner is an absolute nuclear weapon, but he is, and it's so fun to watch him. And Geno too, he ends up passing for over 300 yards, but like it didn't feel like a 300-yard game. They were behind for so much of it, so they had to throw the ball a ton. But if I'm Seattle, I'm kind of worried. And then if I'm the Niners and I'm a fan of the Niners, we're going back to the Super Bowl. I would have so much confidence. And Christian McCaffrey goes down, Jordan Mason comes in. Jordan Mason goes down. Guarendo, I believe Guarendo comes in. They have depth. It feels like.
Was he sliding here for sure, Pat? You think he was sliding here for sure, or is he?
Definitely. You don't get tackled from behind and then baseball slide, right?
Yeah, I think
maybe.
I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, maybe it was in his brain thinking to go down.
Yeah, I know people.
He was definitely paying attention and not going all out, not running 100%. So he's definitely thinking about it, I believe. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I'm confused.
They ended up running plays right after, and he said that he heard people on the sideline yelling, like, get down, but they had to continue to run plays because Seattle called their first timeout after that run. I know I saw a lot of people, and I might have echoed those sentiments, that live bet him to score a touchdown. Basically, might hate him forever. I'm not saying that's me. I'm just saying there are people who live bet him as soon as Jordan Mason went down with his shoulder injury, AC joint. They said that since he slid, that they will never, ever root for this guy for the rest of his career. But he's a great player. He's going to have a long career. So I don't feel
Kyle
that
said
way.
it was a smart play in the locker room after the game.
I thought it was a smart play. But what did they do right after? They gave him the ball. On the next play, he got stuffed, and then they gave it to Juszczyk, and Juszczyk scored. And I will say, I loved the fact that Juszczyk and Kittle were just celebrating with their wives in Seattle's
Deebo comes up here, too.
faces.
Deebo's up there now?
Yeah, I thought this was awesome. Now, the people in that suite that were Seahawks fans, that probably sucked. But the scene of them was incredible, and they even called their shot. Or before the game started, I forget, one of them posted
this was awesome.
on their
Juszczyk, Mrs.
Juszczyk posted on her story, like, man, I hope they score right in front of us. They do. She gets a ball from Kyle Juszczyk. I love that type of stuff. I don't know how everyone else
love.
Yeah, we love
love.
Good for them.
Gumpy, come here, buddy. Gumpy, come here. Gumpy, right off camera. Gumpy agrees, I think. That was one of the first things he told me this morning, because we both watched the game live in the moment.
Yeah.
Juszczyk and the Kittle celebrating right there at the end zone in somebody else's barn. That was a beautiful sight to behold.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful moment. I was really happy that they showed the replay 5 times, and we could just keep watching
Gump,
it over and over again.
Gump. We don't need you.
Whoa,
what are you doing, Gump?
Yeah, he batted my headphone thing off the thing.
Of course.
Gumpy just.
Wait, he didn't like.
Come on,
he didn't like that. That's shocking.
Why do you have to hate that?
No, he didn't not like it. He just said maybe we do too much, But everybody gets mad about Taylor Swift being shown. Whenever Kittle and Juszczyk, part of the football family, I like all of it. I like all of it.
Amen.
If you don't like it, stop him. Don't let him score touchdowns anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. I like Love too, and I like that I like Kittle goes for 2 tuds. I mean, Kittle in Seattle seemingly.
Oh my goodness, his catch in the corner of the end zone.
So sick.
Thing of beauty, great throw, beautiful catch. He got 3 feet down.
Monster. George Kittle is an absolute monster, continues to be. Deebo looks like he's in fast forward sometimes whenever they show him running. He had a run down the far sideline where it looked like he was running at a different speed than everybody else, and he tried to run somebody over. Kittle's a beast. So is Brock Purdy. Here's some Hembo stats about Brock Purdy. Hembo also guest on the Scoop Town. I think today. I think he was a guest on that.
Congrats,
Brock
Hembo.
Purdy. Congrats, Hembo. Absolutely.
Congrats, Hembo, yeah.
Brock Purdy, obviously, running is something not a lot of people give him respect for because he's mayonnaise white. Like, I think that is potentially a reason why he doesn't get a lot of credit for the athletic ability that he has. But he started running early, and that's when I put this tweet out. Like, don't let the Brock Purdy train get a rolling, because once he starts feeling himself, kind of scrambling and running, it's like, look out. This Niners offense looks a little bit different. Let's talk about his arm, though. Got some Hembo stats here. Only 10% of his pass attempts have come at or behind the line of scrimmage. That's the lowest rate in the NFL. Only 31% of his yardage has come via yak. That's the lowest rate in the NFL. Whoa. And based on throw difficulty, okay, here's throw difficulty. So this is an analytic stat here, like through and through. His completion percentage should be 60%.
Oh.
But instead, it's 65.4%, which is the second best margin of difference of should be in actuality behind Jaden Daniels. Okay, that's a big stat. He's completing 58% of his throws, 15-plus yards beyond the line of scrimmage. That's only third behind Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. And since Week 14 of the 2022 season, when Brock Purdy started for the first time, the most points per game, number one, 49ers at 29.3. Most yards per game, number one, 49ers, 400.5 yards per game. Most yards per play, 49ers, 6.6 yards per play. Brock Purdy's a wagon. Brock Purdy's a beast, always has been. And I don't know if this is the year where everybody's going to finally give him his credit, but I hope it is, AJ, especially after a primetime performance like last night.
Yeah, I'm trying to decipher through some of those stats. So basically what you're saying is if anyone calls Brock Purdy a game manager, you can't really say that. But game managers throw screen passes, they throw short little dump offs, and they get a bunch of yak. Yeah. You're saying Hembo's stats are telling us that no, Brock's pushing the ball down the field as much or more than most people in the league, and he's not really throwing short passes around the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and they're not accounting for his running game either. I mean, him being able to extend plays. I mean, he's running around in a pocket more than most quarterbacks.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And he's always
beautiful.
He's done that every single week, AJ, too. There's like 3 or 4 plays of that every single week of him faking to scramble to leave the pocket, finding another pocket within the pocket, maybe a little bit deeper, and then finding and keeping his eyes downfield. It's like Brock Purdy's the real deal. Now, is Kyle Shanahan's offense fantastic? This might be the one where Deebo looks faster than everybody. Yeah, Deebo's just so fast. So fast, so big, so strong. Everything about that team is like toughness, and Cam Ward celebration there happening on both sides. I appreciate that. But their team's like a tough team. Their team is obviously schematically solid, but their quarterback fits it all perfectly. And I assume Kyle Shanahan and Lynch are thanking their lucky stars for Mr. Irrelevant every single night.
Yeah, and because of how good Shanahan and Lynch have, made this team, it feels as though Purdy's never going to get that, Pat. Like, no matter what. And, by the way, should be completion percentage is my new all-time favorite stat. But Purdy, it feels
Let me read that through. Let me read you one more time.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Based on throw difficulty.
Okay.
This is from Hembo, Stats Committee.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy's completion percentage should be 60.3%. Instead, it's 65.4. You tell me.
Huh.
You tell me.
Yeah, I mean,
you tell me.
Based on throw difficulty, should be completion percentage. That stat should leave every show for the rest of time. I don't know why. And they should also, transfer that stat to other sports. I think in basketball they could do a based on shot difficulty, shooting percentage should be. I mean, just brainstorming, spitballing here. But no, to the Brock Purdy point, I don't think people are ever going to give him his flowers or respect because of what you said about Shanahan and because of, how good the guys around him are. But he really is unbelievable. And we talk about like how, the game manager thing. That throw down the field ball percentage that you mentioned or yard average that you mentioned, like that is something that has been a huge talking point for all quarterbacks, it feels like, after every week. Like Mahomes has been getting a ton of shit because when they show his, pass chart, all of them are, at the line of scrimmage, 10 yards or shorter. But then when you go to a Brock Purdy and you show his, throw charts and how far down the field is, then people just point to, well, Shanahan's drawing him open, Ayuk, Deebo, Kittle. Like, no matter what.
Still got to throw the ball.
Yeah, still got to throw the ball. I agree. And he is flawless. Like, he doesn't throw bad passes, it feels like. He doesn't throw like the ones where, Geno throws where it's like, what the hell was that? Behind a guy, too far in front. Like, he's so accurate. But no matter what, because of, the Niners and how the team is, it is a bummer, but it just feels as though he won't get it until he goes somewhere in like 15 years down the road. People will be like, you know what, maybe we were a little harsh on Brock Purdy. This guy's great. But it is a bummer. And to your point, he can move around like a bandit. When he played New England, he was doing it like a little spider monkey in the pocket. You can't catch him.
I think also about him that we need to talk about, most quarterbacks, I guess it kind of still rings true now, kind of bad body, just like pitchers. I don't want to say pitchers, like kind of fluid. You want to keep this thing fluid.
Dad bod-ish. It can be dad bod-ish at times.
Yeah, not like they're not looking for like 2% body fat being jacked up, just like shooters and pitchers and everything.
Loose.
Brock Purdy got yoked this offseason.
Look at his legs, bro. He is thick, dude. Like he's a big. I know the Kittle was talking about it earlier, but yeah, Brock he's jacked, man. I think his legs are a huge part of it too.
Okay, to your point about the legs. Okay, cool, got that. But his upper body absolutely jacked, and he's still throwing it perfect. Yeah. Like he didn't change his form. He didn't get off. Because there's been quarterbacks in the past either gone through an injury or gone through like a new body transformation, and then all of a sudden it's not the same. It's not the same flick. They're a little bit off. They're trying to find back. It's like he is still throwing it in a keyhole. He is still finding everybody. Now, I think him being bigger is obviously going to work out better for his survival in the NFL. I think everybody kind of does that as a professional athlete. But yeah, his legs, his upper body, he's kind of gone through a body transformation here while still having a roommate in San Francisco because he can't afford to own his own house, and he's still balling. It's like he's so cheap, dude. That's a whole nother conversation. He's so cheap. So they can do all this shit. All the Ayuk shit can happen. Kittle stuff can happen. Trent Williams stuff can happen. Deebo stuff can happen. Juszczyk, I think they signed last year. That can happen. Defensive side of the ball can happen. It's like Bosa can happen. Like there's so many things that can happen because he's so cheap. It's like the Niners have hit a home run with this guy. And we go back to it all the time, and I think it's because we've been in locker rooms before and we understand the politics of all the bullshit and ego and pride and everything. For John Lynch and Shanahan to understand that they messed up the number 3 overall pick with Trey Lance and said, nah, we're going with this guy from whenever they started him all the way through now, that's a huge deal. It really is. It's a huge deal that they're committed to winning. They're not worried about any other decisions, and is this the year the Niners do it? Is this the year now that they're 3-3? I mean, who knows?
Who knows? I mean, they got to pay Brock after this year, though, right?
No, he's
two.
Can they pay him after this year?
They could. Like Burrow got paid after his 3rd season. I believe Herbert got paid after his 3rd season. Would it be the right thing for the organization to do? Maybe because he's outplayed his contract by $1 billion, potentially. But no, if they really wanted to, he's under contract for this season and next season. He's making $1 million in both, I believe.